Now, outside of price, how do you pick a good property? What makes a good investment?
That's a really good question. And these key components can never be forgotten. And it's very important to remember, location is everything. You have to understand the city and the vicinity to the important urban living of where you are. Things that are always going to be important to people is transportation. And if you want to know where to invest, look at where the government is investing in transportation, because the easier it is for people to commute, the easier it is for them to enjoy an urban lifestyle. With 60% of the purchases today being condo purchases, you know, there is no surprise that people want to live in areas where you've got commercial components, they've got their dentist, their doctor, their grocery store, their hospital, and their schools, all within a very close vicinity. Now, it doesn't mean that purchasing a property in the outskirts or somewhere that isn't as developed or has, you know, as much terms for growth as something else is not a good investment, but you really have to consider how long of a term you're willing to hold that, rather than knowing about an influx in transportation that's being increased, that you can have a designated timeline to be able to understand your portfolio. Because if you don't know where you're going with your portfolio, where your goals are, it's going to be a very overwhelming experience for you.
So zoning becomes important to be advised and informed on the zoning for specific areas as well then?
Absolutely, yeah. You want to know what the official community plan is for the area, and working with good agents and working with good accredited mortgage professionals, you're going to get advised accordingly.
Now, when it comes to managing your multiple properties, do you do it on your own? Are you self-managed?
I've given that up.
So what caused you to decide to give that side of things out? Give it up.
You always have to know, it's always calculated risk, and it's always knowing what you're best at. And for myself, it's not the best use of my time to be meeting people at one of my properties to show it and do all that stuff. It's just added stress and added timing that I would prefer to have somebody who specializes in that field do for me.
Okay, so when it comes to finding, I guess, would it be a property manager? Or
yeah.
Okay. What are some of your tips in finding a good property manager? What were you looking for as an investor?
As an investor, I was looking for someone who understood the importance of what that property meant to me. And you know a lot about how people treat the properties based on how they talk about it and how they talk about their experiences and how they've handled it with tenants. It's a very important thing for them to continue to maintain the property and not just, you get what you pay for. So, you know, understand that good property management might not be the most inexpensive way, but you have to weigh the pros and cons. And if you feel like they're treating it as if it's their own home, then it's always a good feeling.
Now, speaking of tenants, do you ever yourself deal with tenants as an investor, given that you have a property manager? On very small occasions. I've lost some of my tenants to purchasing properties, but... Right. Do you participate in the interview stage as far as getting the tenants, or do you leave that solely up to your property manager?
I did initially. Because, you know, it's like your babies. You want to know who's living there and you want to get a feeling for them. And I've met all of them personally, and I think it's neat for them to be able to put a face to the name and see where their checks are going.